more than we'd like to think, doesn't it? So looking at Exodus 14, verses 26 through 31, there are bridges to be crossed. Do you know that? There are bridges that you will cross, not just on the highway, but in life. There are bridges that we need to cross. And as we think about these bridges, that's kind of going to be the analogy that I stick with this morning, that there are indeed bridges to be crossed. Moments in your life when you realize something has to change, that I've got to cross over from where I am, over this bridge into where I'm going to be or what I'm going to become. And sometimes you can't explain it. Like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what I feel, but I feel something. Right? What a great feeling that is. I don't know what I feel, but I feel something. But sometimes you really know. It's maybe even a gentle sense of uneasiness or a quiet restlessness, or the sense that something just isn't quite right. Something's got to change. And sometimes you see it coming from 100 miles away. And sometimes that moment where you realize something's got to give here, that moment sneaks up on you. And then, of course, the excuses start to flow like sweet tea at a family reunion, right? But what are you doing when you make those excuses? Hesitating, giving in to fear, though you may not want to admit it. We look for clarity. We look for comfort. We look for a guarantee that things are going to work out on the other side. We don't like the challenge of stepping onto a bridge like in this picture behind me here, a bridge that seems to go nowhere, or the bridge that must go somewhere because it's hanging there, but I don't know where, and I want to know. I want to wait till daybreak. I want to wait till the sun burns off all of the fog so I can see where this bridge is going. I want to guarantee it's going to be all right before I take that first step. There's a big difference, really, between recognizing the need for change and stepping into change. Most of us might not say we struggle believing that God can do the miraculous. But believing that God can do the miraculous and stepping into that is very different. Our struggle just might be the stepping into what God is doing or has done or will do. Some of you already know, I believe, that what God is calling you to do. The question isn't clarity. The question isn't knowledge. You already know something needs to change, and maybe you already know what, but you haven't moved yet. And that's the problem. You're standing right at the edge of what God has for you. Imagine the Israelites, and God parts the waters in front of them in a miraculous way. What are they going to do? Stand there? Neat. Look, you guys believe me? You're seeing this? God makes a way, and he makes a way for us, but he doesn't remove all the risk. Instead, he invites you to trust. And that's where faith comes in, not as a feeling, not as a sense of knowledge, but as a step. He gives a path forward, but he doesn't walk it for you. He'll walk it with you. What's that old song? You got to walk that lonesome valley, right? You got to walk it by yourself. Well, when God calls you to cross a bridge from where you are to where you will be, when God calls you out of something and into something new, something different, he doesn't say go, he says let's go. He will walk with you through it. Like a bridge over a wide channel or over a deep chasm, God will make a way where perhaps it seems there is no way. And today we're going to talk about stepping out and stepping in, stepping on that bridge through faith. And the first step is simple. Walk the bridge that's in front of you. God opened the sea in front of Israel, and there was no other way forward. I don't see anything recorded in Scripture about when God parted the waters, the Israelites were all, you go ahead and walk, we're going to swim across. I mean, if they could swim across, they would have done that anyway. No, when God created a path, they walked that path. When God gives you a bridge over where you're standing now to where he's calling you to stand, what he's calling you to become, he makes a way. That's the way to cross. How many times have we tried to do things our own way? And that's not personal confession time, but how many times have you thought, I know a better way than God? Now, you wouldn't say that, right? And I wouldn't either. But I can tell you, there have been a lot of times where, like the old song says, I go my own way. I did it my way. Remember that song? You can stand at a bridge the whole life. But it only works if you walk it. It only works if you walk it. Now, the Israelites, they had a choice to make, didn't they? God opens the sea, cross or not. Cross over or stay here. Cross this path that God created in a unique way that we've never seen before, or take my chances with this hostile army that's chasing after me. God is inviting you to step in to what he's doing. He doesn't want you to be a fan of his work. He wants you to be a part of his work. You can stand at a bridge your whole life, but it only works if you walk it. How many times has God opened a door, but you were hesitant to walk through? How many times has God made a way or called you out of something, but you stayed there anyhow? Or maybe worse yet, stepped out of it and stepped back in. Real faith is more than believing God can. Real faith is stepping into what God has already done. There's an old story, perhaps you know it well, but it bears repeating. There's an old story of a daredevil, and he stretched a tightrope across Niagara Falls. And there was a big crowd. Of course, it's a big thing. They want to see this spectacle, this guy walking across Niagara Falls on this tight wire. I guess I would show up too if I was in the neighborhood. And he said to the crowd, he's getting them hyped up, he says, "Who believes that I can do this?" Well, of course, 100% of the crowd, "Of course you can, yay," you know. He says, "All right, very good. Well, instead of this balance beam as I cross over, who here believes that I can take this wheelbarrow and push that wheelbarrow across this tightrope over the Grand Canyon?" Well, yeah, I think so. Probably, you know, you're not really using that board, but for balance, you could use a wheelbarrow. Okay, yeah, we're on board with that. We think you can. He says, "All right, well, how many of you believe that I can put my assistant in this wheelbarrow and push this wheelbarrow across Niagara Falls?" Well, now the crowd is thinking, I don't know about that, poor guy. Yeah, you know what? He probably wouldn't have asked if he couldn't do it, right? The guy wouldn't have asked a question, "Do you think I can?" if he really couldn't. So yeah, maybe 80% of the crowd, "Yeah, we think you can, we think you can." And the guy said, "Well, that's great. My assistant actually quit, and now I'm looking for a volunteer today." How many volunteers are there? None. No, of course not. Real faith steps in. Real faith steps in. You can be a fan of what God's doing and play it safe and go nowhere. Or you can be a part of what God's doing and take a risk and step into what God is doing. James tells us faith by itself, if not accompanied by action, is dead. So how do we put faith into practice? We step into the unknown. We take that risk. It takes no faith for me to come over here. Sorry, folks at home, I'll be right back. It takes no faith whatsoever for me to grab a piece of wood, thin piece of board here. That's lucky that was here, huh? And put this down here. It takes no faith whatsoever for me to walk across this thing. That's easy for me to stand there. I can stand there all day long. I'm too far away from my nose to see, so I'll have to step off of it sooner or later. But this is easy. Any of us could do this, right? At least for a little bit. It takes no faith for me to stand on a board laying on the platform. It takes no faith for me to walk across a board that's laying in my yard, but lift that board 10 feet in the air, 30 feet in the air. Now we have a different conversation. You guys probably know a lot of times I'll ride my bike up to the church. That's how I hide from you guys. So I'll ride my bike up, and one of the things that I do most of the time is I try to stay on that white line. It's a 4 to 6 inch white line on the side of the road. Not the yellow one in the middle, but the white one on the side. Because, you know, otherwise I got to pay attention to the road. Instead, I'm just paying attention to that goofy line. And I do pretty well about that. It doesn't make me nervous. Now, if that white line was 4 to 6 inches wide and it was 10 feet in the air, now I'm a little nervous. Why? Because there's risk. Because something, my neck, is at stake now. Now my faith is being put to the test. It takes no faith at all to stand on this thing. I'm very confident this board is going to hold me up. It's thin. It's not a real strong board, but I'm pretty confident that's going to hold me up. It takes no faith to stand on that. Sometimes God opens a new door, a new opportunity, gives a new calling, and we're afraid to step into it because we're not sure that's going to hold me. Because I'm not willing to take the risk. I'm not willing to put my faith in action. And we dress it up and say, well, I'm waiting for confirmation. But really, I'm not waiting for confirmation. I'm waiting on comfort. I'm waiting for it to be easy. I'm waiting for it to be on my terms when there's no risk involved. But the question then is, who are you really trusting in that moment? When God calls you into something new, God calls you out of something, God says, what you're doing is not good for you. It's not healthy or wise. So he calls me out. He calls a change, and he puts that in my heart that I know something's got to give here. But it's not comfortable. But sometimes faith means walking a treacherous path. Sometimes faith means crossing a little bit of a rickety bridge. You might not get the Golden Gate Bridge. It takes very little faith to walk across that, I suppose. Honestly, I've never done that. But it's pretty wide, it's pretty solid, it's held up all those cars all that time. Doesn't take a lot of faith. You might get a bridge like a rickety rope bridge, where the boards, I hope it holds me. When God calls you to step out of faith, though, listen to this. If you're taking notes, here's one to write down. If God calls you to step out in faith, he's not calling you to trust the path. He's not asking you to trust the path. He's asking you to trust him. I imagine the people of Israel would be a little bit hesitant to step into the miracle that God was making, because they would know, I mean, they're not physicists and scientists as we know them today, but they would probably have figured out water doesn't usually pile up. Water doesn't usually stand up like that. That's weird, right? They might be afraid it would come crashing back down on them. Could they trust the path? But God didn't ask them to trust the path. God didn't ask them to trust the seabed. God asked them to trust him. And when we focus so hard on the path, we are like Peter, who focused on the water and started to sink. And we focus on the path, and now we're in trouble. God's not saying trust the path he made. God's saying walk the path. Trust him. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. But stepping onto the bridge isn't the only challenge, is it? Once you take that first step, it might be tempting to step back. Give it a little try. Put a little toe tap on it, right? Okay. I think I'm going to stay where I'm at. That's easy to do. Once you take that first step, the next logical thing to do is take the second step. I imagine the Israelites, as they were crossing through the Red Sea, probably were in a little bit of a hurry. I don't envision, and I wasn't there, I don't envision the Israelites walking into the middle of the seabed and like, this is the world's first aquarium. Let's hang out here. The Bible says nothing about that. They didn't stop in the middle. I imagine they would hurry to the other side. But sometimes that's our story. We trust God a little bit. We give God a little bit of leeway, but we keep him on a short leash. Because we trust ourselves. Because we focus on the path, not on the one who made it. Or maybe we forget what life was really like before God brought us out. It wasn't really that bad, was it? I wonder if the Israelites started to question that. But know that God doesn't want to mostly rescue you. God doesn't want to take you halfway. He wants real breakthrough for you. So don't stay in the middle. The middle is a dangerous place to live. It's been said that sitting on a fence, like in the middle, I'm not decided, I'm sitting on the fence. Sitting on the fence only leaves an impression on one thing. Half a rescue is not a rescue at all. Nobody celebrates being almost rescued. No one throws a party when a bomb is almost defused before it goes off. Halfway there is no way to spend your life. Some years ago, I was riding a four-wheeler along with some friends down this path. I had no idea where I was going. These guys were, if there was professional four-wheeling, these guys were it. So I was just following the guy in front of me. And we came across this bridge. It's an old railroad bridge. And you figure if it'll hold up a railroad, even now that it's no longer in use, just to give a little bit of a relief from the tension, no train is going to come. But if it'd hold up a railroad, a train, it'll probably hold us up. So we start to cross this thing, and I'm a little bit anxious about it. This is a railroad bridge in Snowshoe, Pennsylvania. Now let's just pause for dramatic effect. Who in their right mind would move to a place called Snowshoe? You got to know what you're getting into there. Here's a couple pictures of it. This is 110 feet up in the air. And what you might not notice right away is that there's a railing on one side of the bridge. It's right here. The other side, certain death. So all these people, and I only know one of them. It's his friend, it's his party, his group. So I'm like, oh man, Rob, I don't know about this. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. They might just go back home. I took my time. I made it across. I can see some of you weren't so sure. I did make it across. It's, I think, 700 feet long and 110 feet high. I was very nervous, so I was going very, very slowly. Luckily, I didn't have someone chasing me down at the time. But you do. English orator and theologian Charles Spurgeon says it this way: the great tyrant has not forgotten you, and he designs your capture and re-enslavement. He is after you. You may be the sweetest person who's ever lived. I mean, we're all in the top 100, right? You may be the sweetest person that's ever lived, but you have an enemy. The enemy of your soul. And he will never stop hunting you. He will never stop chasing you. God has called you away from his teeth to cross over into the freedom of God. So don't camp where God has called you to cross. Don't stop in the middle. The middle is not your destination. It's not where you want to be. I want you to imagine, for just a minute, I want you to imagine that Keith and I are playing dodgeball. What are you guys going to do? Move, right? Duck. Yeah, you don't want to be in the middle of that, right? What's going to happen? You stand in the middle of a dodge. If you're playing dodgeball, you know where you want to be? Behind the big guy. Right? Because you know he's going to get hit, not you. Or standing beside the fast guy, because you know he'll run around, catch the ball, and throw it back. You want to be somewhere that's safe. The worst place you can be is in the middle, because you're going to get hit from both sides. If you don't believe me, next game night, we'll try it. Spiritually speaking, it's the same way. If you're trying to stand in the in-between, one foot in freedom and one foot in God's way and one foot in your way, one foot in freedom, one foot in bondage, one foot in safety, one foot in sin, the journey's not done. That's not where you're supposed to be. That's not how the story ends. The way to freedom is following the path that God has created for you, trusting him, not the path itself. The entire path. Because God always finishes what he started. God always finishes what he started. Remember that movie Speed 2 where they had the bridge and a bus jumped a bridge? Did you ever see that? It's the most ridiculous scene you'd ever see. Don't, save yourself the trouble, don't watch it. It's physically impossible. It's this bridge. Okay, it's built up here and it's built up here, but there's a huge gap between. And no bus jumping over that thing. God always finishes what he started. He's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to leave you high and dry. But we do that to ourselves, don't we? Let's get personal for just a second. Maybe today, God helped you kick a drug habit. But you kind of held on to some of the stuff, just in case. Maybe today you say God brought you to the place where you can confess and repent of pride, but you're still trying to micromanaging all the people around you. You're still trying to control every part of your environment. You're still gossiping about people. Maybe today, with God's help, you broke free from pornography, but you embrace shame instead of accountability. And that makes it easy to slip back into those things. You rationalize it, saying, it's not really hurting anybody. It wasn't so bad. Man, no one believes that. And deep down, you don't either. Half a rescue is not a rescue at all. God doesn't want you to come out just to go back in. He doesn't want you to step out, sort of. God's deliverance is complete deliverance. Living in the middle is not freedom. It's just bondage with a bow tie on. It just dresses it up. And the cycle repeats. And it repeats. And it's so easy to justify it. That's not hurting anybody. That's just how I am. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is it's a destructive cycle. You don't want to be in the destructive cycles. Have you ever noticed chips and dip never run out at the same time? You've noticed that, right? You buy a bag of chips, container of dip, you start eating it, and you're like, oh, chips are gone, but I still have dip left. What am I supposed to do with this? Don't even get me started on carrots. No one say carrots, because it's chip dip, right? You know where veggie dip is? In the store, because nobody buying that. We want chip dip. So you got a little bit of chip dip left. You're like, well, I don't want to throw it out. It'll be wasteful. So you go buy a bag of other chips. Now I have chips and no dip. Well, I don't want no plain chips. So you go buy dip. And you know what happens, right? The cycle repeats. And the cycle repeats when I justify where I am. It's not hurting anybody. Oh, well, I really want to get out of this. I want to break free from this. Well, it's kind of what I do. I really want to break free from this. And it's that cycle that continues on and on and on again when we stay in the middle instead of fully trusting God and stepping into the freedom that he desires for us. God didn't part the Red Sea so the Israelites would just get stuck in the mud and recaptured. He didn't stand water up like a wall on both sides of them so they could stand there gawking at it. He didn't make a way so they could mostly cross over. He made a way the whole way through so they could step into freedom by faith. So it is for you. God didn't bring you out to leave you stuck. The middle isn't where your story is supposed to end. It's unstable. It's exposed. It's not safe. It's supposed to be temporary. Don't stop when you're halfway there. Real faith steps in, but real faith steps on the second step and the third and the fourth. And the Israelites crossed the sea one step at a time, and God closes up the water behind them. They couldn't go back if they wanted to. That in and of itself is reason to celebrate. The pain of their past was cut off. It couldn't reach them anymore. Faith isn't just moving forward, it's not going back. It means celebrating the bridges that God has closed behind me. Deliverance that I have felt and experienced in my life. Everyone has a story that begins this way. There was a struggle that nearly destroyed me. There was a season that almost broke me. There was a desperate situation that there was no way out of. The story can end this way, but God brought me out. God created a bridge. He made a way. Don't just move past that. Celebrate that. In a couple of weeks, the NCAA basketball tournament will conclude, and a champion will be crowned. To those of you who are North Carolina Tar Heel fans, that's what you get. About time you get on the Duke train. Thank you for not stoning me when I said that. Remember, you'll miss me when I'm gone. Whoever wins, imagine them not even celebrating. Imagine them walking off the court like it's no big deal. When I was in high school, basketball was new then, but when I was in high school, our second game of the season, we were tied, and I passed the ball to a guy named Richard. And I'll tell you the whole story later on. Richard fired up a shot from half court and walked towards the bench. In my mind, I'm already getting ready for overtime. Right? And I see the coach on the bench, and he's leaning back in his chair with both hands up in the air like this. I'm like, you nutcase, what are you doing? It's tied. And he got this ashen look on his face and looked at the scoreboard and looked at me and said, no, it's not. And I looked up, and now we're up by 3. Time is out. And I said, did he make it? Yeah, he made it. And I missed it. I wasn't there to celebrate probably the most exciting moment of our season because I'm walking towards the bench. I just missed out on it. The coach is celebrating. The whole team is celebrating. The other team is mad, which gives us more reason to celebrate. You have victories in your life that maybe you haven't celebrated yet. Celebrate the wins. It doesn't mean reminiscing over the good times. It means embracing the freedom that you have. You see that outside the church too. And celebrating the wins and the bridges that God has closed behind you. Actor Robert Downey Jr., after years of substance abuse and legal trouble, he finally came around and said, you know what? I don't want that anymore. I don't want that life. Rapper Eminem, following a near-fatal overdose in 2007, got sober and said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that season, to that habit. When God delivers you from a painful season or a destructive habit or a negative attitude, celebrate that. Don't try to reopen the bridge. Don't try to go back. Celebrate the win. Celebrate the freedom. Celebrate the bridge that God has closed behind you because it's not punishment, it's protection. But we struggle with that, don't we? How many people have left an unhealthy relationship? Left that relationship behind, but kept the door open in case they change their mind. It's time to delete the number. Block the profile. Stop the communication. How many people have renounced a sin or broken a habit, but quietly, slowly step back into it? Embrace accountability. Bring it to the light. Break that mindset. Break free. God might say, I parted the Red Sea for you, and you're still texting Pharaoh? Come on. You're still pretending that's all right? Breaking ties with a destructive past is not punishment. It's living on the other side of deliverance. And living on the other side of deliverance is cause for celebration. Celebrate the victories that God has won on your behalf. Don't go back or don't desire to be the same person you were before. The Israelites were slaves. You think they wanted to go back to that? Now, if you remember, they were saying, man, Moses, that's my translation. Dude, you brought us out here to die. Are you kidding me? We had it better in Egypt. Bear in mind, they're comparing life in slavery to death in the desert. They're not comparing that life to this life. But they were saying that. It's better to live than to die. You know who said the opposite? My old buddy Paul. He said to live is Christ, and to die is actually gain. When you surrender to Christ, he doesn't want part of you. He wants all of you. And he doesn't give you part of him. He gives you all of him. Celebrating the bridges that God has closed behind you means simply recognizing how good you have it now, not romanticizing or misremembering the things of your past. Because you can be in an awful relationship and get out and start thinking, oh, it wasn't so bad. You can get out of a destructive habit and look back and say, well, really, I don't know, it wasn't a big deal. Seeing the bodies of the Egyptian army lying on the seashore. Can you imagine that? Imagine that scene, but it's not just a scene, it's a statement. A visual reminder to the Israelites that God had closed the door behind them, that deliverance was complete and it is for good. The threat is gone, the past is done, God has delivered, and now the bridge is closed. Sometimes God gives you visual reminders. Reminders that he's taken care of you before. If we're looking at this bridge here with the wooden planks in the middle, if God supported me on that plank, he's going to support me on the next one. It's not a perfect analogy, but he's saying, I made a way out. Trust me. Trust me. I'll be with you. You can look back at situations today that God has delivered you from. The bridges he has knocked down behind you. And those things can help you build faith, build confidence for the situation you're facing right now. And it could be that the situation you're facing right now, that might be that as God walks through that with you, and gets you to the other side and closes the bridge behind you, that what you're facing today can give you confidence for what you're going to face tomorrow and the next week and the next year and the year after that. Celebrate what God has done for you. Because the same God who opened the path is the same God who walked with you through it, is the same God who closed the path behind you. Real faith steps in. Real faith keeps moving. Real faith never goes back. So, again, let's get personal. Where are you right now? Where are you today? Hesitating? Feeling trapped? Stuck in the middle somewhere? Looking back thinking, it wasn't so bad. In Exodus 14, the people of Israel were standing on the edge between what used to be and what now is. Between where they were and where God enabled them to come to. The sea in front and the enemy behind. God had said simply, move. Go. Not when it feels safe, not when everything makes sense. Move. Now. Maybe today you're standing on the edge too. And what's God saying? Move. Go. Take the first step. That's the hardest. Taking that first step is the hardest one. You know what the other hard step is? The second. After that, you got momentum on your side. You're already going. But when you're standing at the edge, holding the weight of your past, and God says, let it go. Move. Now. Don't stay where you've been. You can't live in the middle. You sure can't go back. It's already time for a breakthrough. And some breakthroughs are not about relief. They're not about comfort. Some breakthroughs are about becoming someone new on the other side. If God is calling you to come out of where you are, it's time to move. Fair warning, the moment you choose to step out, the enemy will throw everything he's got at you. Everything in you may try to resist. Doubt will rise and pride will tell you to stop. But God will tell you something else. Move. Freedom is right in front of you. God didn't part the Red Sea so the Israelites could visit freedom, get a glimpse and then go back. He made a way for them to live in freedom and leave that bondage, that slavery, that hardship behind for good. He didn't just make a path in front of them, he closed it behind them. And that's how true deliverance is. It's a one-way bridge, and there's no going back. Today is the day. If you've been standing at the edge thinking, I know God is calling me to change. God is touching my heart saying, you know what? I don't want you where you are. What's God saying today? Move. Take the first step. Trust Jesus. And then the second, bring it to light. After that, follow your feet. Sometimes life won't change until your feet get moving. And you might need to take that literally. You just might need to take that literally. And if that's you today, that's okay. If you need to physically step out of your Egypt before you can embrace being someone new on the other side, stop debating. Move. Now, take the first step and then the second. God has not called you to a dead end. He has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That means there's a way in front of you. God has created the path, the bridge, and he will walk alongside you all the way through. You are not crossing alone. Your breakthrough, it's not about running away from something. It's about running into someone's arms, running toward him. Bring God your past. Bring God your present. Bring God everything you've been carrying and lay that burden down. Right now. No more waiting. If God is calling you to step out, take the step. Out of sin, out of fear, out of what's been holding you back. This is the moment. Identify your Egypt. Decide to step out, to become someone new on the other side. Take action. Hold God to his promise. You don't have it all figured out, but you're willing to take the first step, to trust Jesus, to follow him. You can do that where you are, in your heart of hearts. But again, if you need to do that physically, you need to draw a line in the sand, chisel a line in stone. You need to make a statement to yourself, not to everybody else that's here. You need to make a statement to yourself. You can come up here. Sit on the edge, lay on the stairs. Someone will pray with you. Either way, whether you come up, you stay there, it's time. It's time to start trusting. It's time to step out in faith. It's time to experience that victory in Jesus that we sang about earlier. Victory through the God who made a way. He is a way maker, a miracle worker, and he's still in that business today. Will you move when God says move? Father,